Hello everyone, I'm not sure if you're able to hear me because it's quite windy. This is not the video I wanted to do. As I said, I'd try and get one out this week. This is what I have for you. I'm near Pakefield. I'm in Carlton, Colville. I was just this way and saw this on the bus, so I thought I'd get off a bit earlier and see what it was about. As you can probably read it, it's a commemoration stone to a American flying fortress that crashed in the Second World War. With any luck, shortly following this, there'll be a small presentation of what information I can find about it. Yeah, not really much to say more from here because you might not even be able to hear me or anything I'm saying. So we'll see where that goes. But this is the memorial. I was on the X22 bus that comes through here. I'm not familiar with this bit, so I don't really know the road names. But some are named after the incident, which I'll see if I can find any that might be. I might be able to guess what they are. So that'll also be in the presentation. It was the 14th of March, 1945, and even though the Second World War in Europe had less than 2 months left to run, with both the Western Allies and the Soviet Union advancing far into Germany itself, there was no sign of the end, and it had soon become very clear that the only place this war was going to end, Berlin itself. So, as the spring of 1945 came round, the fighting still raged on land, sea, and in the air. For the men of the US 8th Air Force, 487th Bomb Group, their bombing raids on Germany were now a daily routine. Their target for today was Hanover, knocking out factories and oil refineries. Taking off from RAF Laverum, near the village of Affelton in Suffolk, an airfield that they had been using since April 1944. The mission would be a routine one, known widely by the bomber crews as a milk run. The formation took off bound for Germany, of the B-17s, commanded by Second Lieutenant Robert Porsche, born on the 20th of December 1920, and originally from the Bronx in New York, although it seems his family at some time after this moved to New Jersey. I've been unable to find out much about the plane, including the nickname it undoubtedly had, or how long the crew as a whole had been working together, or how long their service careers had been. But from what I have been able to find, as well as Porsche, the crew was made up of James Barne, an engineer, Clarence Barker, the bombardier, Clifford Britton, the co-pilot, Pimento Montoya, a gunner, Frank Powell, also a gunner, Douglas Sievert, the radio operator, William Ward, the navigator, and Jerome Weiss, the waist gunner. While en route, they developed a problem with their number 2 engine somewhere over Belgium, and unable to carry on, were forced to abandon their task and return to Britain. They would cross the North Sea with little trouble, although the engine soon began to trail smoke behind them. But it would be as they crossed the Suffolk coast when it suddenly exploded, rocking the aircraft and making it far harder to fly. But this was not their main problem. Despite making part of the journey, the B-17 was still close to fully loaded with fuel and of course still carrying its payload of bombs. Trying to land a plane in such a condition at Leverum would be close to impossible. Lieutenant Porsche turned the bomber out towards the sea, losing altitude every second, and gave the order for the rest of the crew to bail out while they could, with him planning to get the plane nearer to the coast and away from being a danger to those on the ground before hopefully jumping himself. As he tried to control the descending aircraft, the crew began to jump free from the burning plane, but Staff Sergeant Douglas Sievert, from Cleveland, Ohio, the radio operator, would be killed leaving the plane when his parachute was ripped open on the tail of the B-17. He was 4 months short of his 20th birthday. Second Lieutenant Porsche bravely stayed with the plane, but would be unsuccessful in reaching the sea, and was still on board when it came down, in what at the time was fields and farm buildings between the villages of Carlton, Colville and Pakefield on the Suffolk coast. The bodies of both men were recovered, with Sergeant Sievert being laid to rest in the Cambridge American Cemetery, Plot B, Row 2, Grave 43, while Lieutenant Porsche was taken back to the US and buried in East Ridgelawn Cemetery, Clifton, Passaic County, New Jersey, Plot 24, Lot 253, Grave 1. The memorial that stands to them today on the site of the crash was unveiled on the 11th of December 1992 by Reverend F. Dyson and Colonel W. Berg of the United States Air Force. During a commemoration in 2015, relatives of Douglas Sievert made a statement. Our family appreciates the recognition of the 70th year since the loss of our Uncle Douglas Sievert. It touches our family to know that you continue to honour Doug to this day, despite having no blood ties of your own. We in turn are deeply honoured. As mentioned in the intro to this video, the housing estate built in 1988 has grown up around the crash site, with several streets being named in memory of what had happened. The only one I was able to find myself was Fortress, but the others are Porsche Close, Sievert Close, and Ohio Close. And as you will see from the pictures I have taken and the video at the beginning, flowers are still left on their monument, normally around Remembrance Day. I hope you've enjoyed this shorter presentation than normal, and the final video of this year. As I said in my update, with a bit more detail, so if you wish to watch that video, it would fill you in a bit more. But I will be back in the new year with lots more local history for you. All the information and pictures used can be found in the description below. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you wish. This was the Carlton Colville B17 crash, and this was a little bit of history.